Hey writers, how are you? Good day, afternoon, or evening. I'm way too close to that camera. Way too close. Anyway, yeah, I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out. This is my new place, and I'll probably do videos from this place and my other place, but definitely this place because it's my own place. So I don't share it with the kids. So, yeah. Anyway, good day, afternoon, or evening. I hope you're having a good one. I'm sitting up here. I'm cold. I tend to get cold easy. So I have my Grogu blanket. And I normally have my stuffed Grogus with me, but they're at the other house. I haven't decided if I was going to bring them over here or not, but right now they're fine where they are, along with my Hello Kitty and anime stuff. But anyway, that's enough about me and my weirdness. Anyway, so I thought I would, yes, I'm in the same clothes from a previous episode that I was talking about, something that happened today. So I'm gonna start getting back into going through living with Lion and all that entailed. And I thought I would tell you about a time that happened when I got sick and almost died. It's so funny because now as I'm telling it, there are numerous times when I literally, no joke, could have died or should have died messing around with Lion. And he probably would have been happy because he would have cashed in on the life insurance. Like he used to tell me, I have life insurance on you. And I would be like, I don't think that way. So I'm not like, ooh, I'm scared, right? Not me. No, I'm like, good. If something happened to me, I want to make sure that my babies are taken care of, or you can set up so that you can take care of the babies, right? And then he would say, oh, I have life insurance on myself, so I would never think anything of it. But he would make little side comments like, yeah, I got life insurance on you in case I need to take you out. But I wouldn't take you out. But in case you got taken out. And he was like, I need to stop saying stuff like that. Because then if something happens to you, they're going to think I killed you. I was like, okay, and we'll go on. Because there was so much going on, I really wouldn't bank that. I would just move on, right? And there was many episodes where he would say things like that. And it would not really set off any alarm bells. Like I wouldn't think anything of it except for I was like, stop saying stuff like that. It's not funny. I would take it as like playing, like somebody you love, you'd be like, I could just kill you. You don't really mean you're going to kill him. Most of us who are son don't really mean we're going to kill somebody, but somebody like him, I think he may, looking back now, and then once somebody tells you that they never loved you, they spent 20, almost 30 years with you. And how I know that is because when I met him, I was pregnant with my daughter, who is about to be 30, right? So I met him before I was pregnant with her, and I met him, and I got to know him more during my pregnancy. We didn't get together until after, and the child was a year old, and then he was going through a divorce. So he tells me, which I really hope his ex sees this. Her name starts with a C, and she lived in LA. She would remember me, probably not by face, but I really hope. I've been trying to get this woman to talk to me for the longest because he told me so many things, and I would love to know what he said, how much of what he said was true. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't have a lot of time. Let me tell you what happened. So living with Lion was always crazy, though I didn't really realize how crazy till now. But I was telling somebody about this life lesson with Lion a while ago. And so I thought I would share it with you before I go take off all my makeup and put on my feet pajamas, which is really what I want to do right now. Anyway, so this is a time we were homeless, and that I will tell the whole thing of how we wound up homeless again. But this was probably the second time we were homeless. The first time we were homeless was before my babies were before my children with him were born. Because remember, I had two girls. Sorry, I had a salad when I met him. And so one was a baby and one was 5. So when we got together, we had a son. He passed away. Then we got pregnant again. And so during that time, right around the time I found out I was pregnant, we wound up homeless. We lost our place. And then, well, we didn't really lose it. That's a whole, anyway, we will talk about that later. This is the second time we were homeless. And at this point, we have lost this house called the Blue House. My kids loved it. We used to have amazing times there. I really hope to share a whole series about the Blue House and the wonderful memories that were made in the midst of a nightmare, right? Like I'm trying to create happy memories all along while this man is literally trying to kill me. Like doing everything to, if not kill me, make me freaking crazy so that I go into an insane asylum. Yeah, the Blue House series will be interesting. Anyway, so we are out of the Blue House, and which the Blue House is next to his grandparents. So now we have nowhere to go. At this point, we together have 4 children, my 2 older girls and 2 boys. And my boys were born back to back, right? So, not a good idea. Anyway, so he decides that I really don't know exactly how everything happened. It just kind of fell apart. We tried to find a shelter that would take us. At the time, he had a 401k. I felt that I was blessed because we both agreed that I would stay home and take care of the kids. We wanted a parent at home, and he wanted a traditional family of the mother at home. And I was good with it because it was my dream to always be at home with my kids, right? So we tried that. We were doing that. We wound up homeless because he lost his job. He lost his job because of his, we're not even going to talk about it, but this had everything to do with why he lost his job. So we're homeless at this time and nowhere to go. He cashes out. He decides, I'm going to cash out the 401k. We're going to live on that, and then we'll find some place to live, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So he cashes out the 401k. We live in a hotel for a minute. It was by the airport, a Travelodge hotel that he wanted to pick a place that had a pool so the kids could go swimming and stuff like that and enjoy the pool and all that. But it was really difficult for me to even do that because we had one car and then he needed the car. I had to pick him up. It was so crazy because before we had a station wagon and a van, and then that went to pot. I don't know. So we wound up with the car and we're staying at the Travelodge with the kids, and that was okay, but I started noticing that I was having problems with like gas, like belching or feeling bloated. But I didn't really pay attention because it was under so much stress. Like nobody would help us. My family did not care for him. They were willing to take me and the kids, but not him. I did not want to leave my husband. Every shelter we went to would not allow us to stay together as a family. Everybody I called would tell me, if you leave your husband, we will take you and the kids, but we will not take you and your husband. I said, we are trying to stay together as a family unit. What are you talking about? But no, I couldn't find one shelter that would allow us to be together as a family. I did not want to break up the family unit. That wasn't going to work. So at this time, his mom is living in, I want to say Culver City, but I don't think, it might have been Bellevue or something like that. I can't remember, but it was in LA. It's not in the state that I'm in now. So she lived in a nice part of town. She had a nice little apartment, but it definitely was not big enough for, at the time, it was 4 kids and 2 parents, right? Not enough room. But she had a pull-out sofa. And, what the kids and I were doing were hopping around from place to place, but not with him. He went to go stay with his mother. I went to go stay with family members and stuff because like I said, my family would take me, but they would not take him. So we stayed at a shelter. We slept in the van. We slept over families' houses, over friends' houses, on their sofas. I stayed with my stepmom for a time. But even during the time I was with her, I was getting sick and could not figure out what it was. I had already had back problems. So I had already had a back surgery before I met him. And I was thinking that it was just the back issue, but I was getting sick and couldn't figure out what it was, let alone couldn't go to the doctor. Like, who was going to watch my kids, right? They were all little. Wasn't possible. So, and I'm very independent because even when I got pregnant with my daughters, even the first one, I felt it was nobody's responsibility to raise my daughter or take care of her or do anything for her but me. I chose to lay down, spread my legs, and get pregnant. In all honesty, I didn't know I could get pregnant, but I did. It was still my responsibility. It was between me and her father. Well, her father didn't want any responsibility of that. That was fine. I took it on. Second child, same thing. My responsibility. I chose it, and God made a way. So I wasn't really, that hadn't changed just because I got married. I still felt like children were my responsibility. Anyway, after this hopping around, he finds us a hotel. Mind you, he's staying with his mom, supposedly looking for a job. So he's staying with his mom, like in Culver City or Bellevue or whatever. And he is hopping us from hotel to hotel with the money from the 401k. The genius decides to get a hotel facing Disneyland. Excuse me. Now, I can't take him to Disneyland, but I get the pleasure of listening to my children cry and ask to go to Disneyland every day, let alone at night when the fireworks would go off at Disneyland while we stayed in a hotel room. He got us a room that faced Disneyland so my children could watch the fireworks go off. But he wasn't there. I was by myself with 4 little kids, trying to figure out how to explain to them, I don't know why their dad put us in this hotel facing Disneyland, watching fireworks, going through the lobby, all these parents with Mickey Mouse hats on and all this wonderful stuff for Disneyland, and I couldn't afford to take my kids. Literally, my heart was freaking breaking, right? Every day. I hated taking them downstairs. I hated taking them anywhere. I hated to leave and walk out of that door. I couldn't stand it because every day I felt littler and littler. I felt more like the worst parent in the world as we walked through that lobby. Every day. It wasn't their fault. It was the decisions and choices that we made that got us there, not them. So I couldn't get mad at them, but I know that my attitude was probably not the best after a while. And so what I noticed was I was getting weaker and I was getting sicker. And at one point, before we moved into the one at Disneyland, we stayed in one briefly for like 3 days in Culver City. That's the only hotel I actually remember him ever staying with us at any length of time. We were there for 3 days. Well, the 3 days were a nightmare. The first day, I spent the day shoving the mattress into the space between my breast and in my chest area, like shoving it into the sternum area of my chest. And because I was in so much pain, it felt like gas was trapped and I couldn't get it out. And I was like going to extremes because I was in so much pain. Then the second day I spent throwing up and having diarrhea and absolutely just no ability to do anything. I was just useless. The third day I wound up at the hospital. The second day the ambulance came and picked me up. We had to call 911. They had to take me to the hospital. They took me to the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and they sent me home. So we spent 3 days there. After that, on the fourth day, he took us to the Disneyland Hotel. So mind you, I'm still sick. When we get to the Disneyland Hotel, he doesn't stay. He pays for everything, puts us in a hotel. We stopped at the store and got like cup of noodles, things I could make. So I used the coffee maker to heat up water to make cup of noodles. We had a microwave. I made meals with the microwave. I used to use the heat from the coffee, where you warm up the coffee, to warm up muffins and things like that for the kids so they wouldn't taste microwavy, right? So I was being really creative about it. I was using the coffee pot, washing it out, using it to make tea and cup of noodles and cup of soup, and just trying my best to feed my kids the best I could. But I noticed that I just was getting worse. I was having fevers and chills and all this, all the while taking care of these 4 kids by myself. So one of these days, while the kids were waiting for the fireworks to go off at Disneyland, I am sitting there on the bed and I start throwing up uncontrollably. I can't stop. In the bathroom, I'm throwing up. And then bile starts coming up. There's no food in my stomach. I can't do anything. So I make it through that night. But the next morning, I get up and I'm like looking at my kids. I'm calling their father. I can't get in touch with him. He's not calling me back. He's not answering my phone calls. He's nothing. I can't. He's MIA. I've called around. I've asked everybody. Nobody's seen him. Even if his mother had seen him, she wouldn't have told me because she didn't really like me that much. So I was like, okay, I don't know what to do, but I need to find out what's wrong with me, because I knew, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but I knew I was at death's door. I knew I was going to die. This was no joke. I could feel it. I could feel my body slowly but surely just dying off. Like it was, I don't know how to explain it. It was just, my life was ending. I was coming to a point that I knew eventually in the next couple of days, something bad was going to happen and I was going to be on the floor, if not in a coma, dead. And my 4 kids are going to have to experience that. And I didn't want that. So I had to make a choice. Couldn't get in touch with anybody. Wasn't going to call any of my family members because I was already fully overwhelmed with the situation and knew that my family didn't really care for him. And I didn't want to hear any more speeches about the situation. So I looked at my oldest daughter, who at the time was probably about 8, maybe 9, probably about 8. Yeah, 8 or 9, something like that. And I looked at her and I said, look, something's wrong with mommy. I need to go to the doctor. And I guess downstairs I had called and found there was an urgent care close. I'm going to go to this place. I promise you I'll be right back. But I need you to do something for me. And it still makes me cry to this day. I need you to not answer the door. Please don't answer the door. If anybody comes to that door, don't answer. I need the kids. And I got all the kids and I said, I need you guys to do this for mommy, please. I need you to stay on this bed as if it's an island. And don't get off unless you have to go potty. I need you to stay here. I need you to watch TV and I need you to be super quiet. And mommy will be back. And I'm looking at my 9-year-old daughter. And I'm telling her, please, I need you to be in control of the situation and watch them and make sure nothing happens to them. Because if anybody comes to that door and knows I left you here alone, they're going to take you, and I need you guys to be okay. I need you to be here when I get back. I promise I'm coming back. And so I tell the kids, like, I love them. I was so sick. I didn't have time to, like, really do much of anything other than barely set up food for them, turn on the TV, open the curtain. And I said, when it gets dark, turn off the lights and watch the fireworks. But everybody stay on this island. So I rushed downstairs as fast as I could, but I was so weak. People were looking at me. I was going down the elevator, could barely get down the elevator, and could barely get to my car. And I get over to the urgent care, and I get there, you know, they do the whole thing, take me in, and the doctor does all this tests and stuff. And I'm trying to rush them, and thank God, barely anybody was in there. Doctor comes in, a nice lady. And she looks at me and she says, honey, she goes, you need to go in the hospital right now. So I'm going to call the ambulance to come pick you up. And I said, no. She said, yeah, we have to call the ambulance. Like, you're going to die. You have an infection in your body. Your gallbladder is going to burst. That's what your fever is you have an infection. And I'm like, and so she tells the nurse to get some information or something. The nurse leaves, and I grab the doctor and I said, please, can I talk to you for a minute? And so she closes the door and she says, what? I said, look, I can't go to the hospital right now. I said, right now, please don't call police on me. I said, I have my babies in a hotel down the street. I can't find their father. He left us in a hotel and I haven't seen him in days. I said, please, if you just give me time to get something worked out or get him someplace, I promise I will come back and go to the hospital. She goes, look. She goes, honey, I don't even know if you got that much time. She says, against my better judgment, take care of your business. Get your kids squared away. She goes, but I'm telling you, if you don't take care of this today, you don't have much time. She said, you need to get to a hospital today. She said, don't come back here. She said, you need to find an emergency room and walk in the emergency room and give them these papers. And she had already did an evaluation and everything, had all my tests done and everything. And so then she's like, how are you even going to get to the hotel? She goes, you barely made it in here. I said, I will. And sheer will, the grace of God and sheer will, I was able to get up out of there and get to my van, get to the hotel. And I started packing the kids up. I didn't know where we were going to go. I got back and my daughter was like, I could tell she was so overwhelmed. But I could not deal with that at that time. So I started making phone calls, started calling somebody who could watch the kids. And the only person I could think of was I finally got in touch with their dad. So I called Lion and I'm like, look, this is the situation. I've got to go into the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I need some place for the kids to be. Can the kids come stay with you at your mother's house? Can you watch your children while I go into the hospital? I'm going to effing die. Do you understand? The woman told me I'm going to die. And he just was like, let me ask my mom. So he hangs up. I guess he talks to his mom and his mom tells him something like, they can't all stay here. I got a little bitty apartment. What the heck you want to do? I could hear in the background talking crap, cussing, yelling, hollering. He's like, just bring the kids here. I didn't want to. I wanted to give her the middle finger and go find someplace else to go, but I had to choose. I knew she was not going to be nice to my kids. I knew she was not going to care for them like I care for them. But I didn't have a choice. So I packed up everything. He didn't come and help me pack. He didn't show up to do anything. I did everything myself with the help of my oldest daughter. And my kids were great. And we packed up everything, got everything together. I think I did have a conversation with the kids about how, that mommy was sick. And then we drove from Anaheim to Culver City. We get to Culver City, and I get to his mom's house, and she has attitude to the upteenth. But I literally could not pay attention to it. So I asked her where were they going to sleep. They were sleeping on a pull-out bed. I pulled the bed out. I told them, I said, look, I need you to listen to Grandma. I need you to be on your best behavior. Please don't give her any trouble. Mommy will be back here as soon as I can. I said, I will be back. She's like, and when is that going to be? I said, I don't know. It'll maybe 3 days. They're probably going to have to do surgery or something. And I didn't want to say too much in front of my kids and scare them. So I was just like, I will call you. I said, call their father. Call Lion. Have him come watch his children, please. I got in the car and I bawled all the way to the hospital. The crazy thing was by the time I got to the hospital, which was Queen of Angels Hospital, the hospital I was actually born at, I could not drive myself. I could not park the car. I would not have been able to walk from far. So I parked the car in a temporary parking spot and walked in. But once I got in, I think I said something to one of the security guys. I think I nearly passed out. It was a whole thing. I was so sick. I was throwing up in the lobby. I was passing out in the chairs. They rushed me back, and I wound up having to have emergency surgery. They had to wound up having to take my whole gallbladder. The blessing was that the security guys that had helped me get in a wheelchair to get into the lobby told me, give me your keys. And it's how good God is. Give me your keys. I will move your car every day so they don't tow your car. I guess we did have 2 cars. We must have had 2 cars because I had the van. So I was like, thank you. I'm sure I said thank you. So I wound up having surgery. I was there for 3 days. I never saw the man. And I wound up getting an infection. Well, I already had an infection. They thought that they had dealt with it, but it flared up and got worse. And I'm trying to get out of the hospital, but I think I went into a state of delirium because it was like I went into a coma. I don't remember anything after being there for 3 days. I remember feeling a fever. I remember calling for the nurse. I remember saying something's wrong, but I don't remember anything after that. And when I woke up, I'd been there for probably 7 days. Somewhere around 5 to 7 days. And I was frantic. Because I knew this woman, she was threatening that she was going to call CPS and take my kids. And I'm like, where's their dad? And she's like, I ain't seen that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I'm telling them at the hospital, I got to get out of here. I'm going to lose my kids. I got to go. I got to get out of here. So mad. I was so angry. And I was so alone. I was so out of my mind. Trying to figure out how I was going to make sure my kids were okay. I left the hospital with the drains still in, and I wasn't supposed to leave until I got them taken out. But I left. I signed myself out. They wanted me to stay another 2 days, but I couldn't. I said, you don't understand. Oh, man, they were pissed. Like, a nurse, she just could not understand. She's like, you're so stupid. This is so stupid. Do you know you nearly died, like, yelling at me? And I was like, I don't want to lose my kids. Do you understand? I'm about to lose my kids. I got in that car. The security guys gave me the keys. I mean, they could have stole my car. They didn't. You know, they could have did anything. I got drains. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, my kids. I'm going to lose my kids. I got to go get my kids. He wheeled me to my van, and I got in the van, and I got to the house. And when I get to the house, kids were so happy to see me, but I was so weak. I barely could get up into that apartment, her apartment. I could barely do anything. And when I got there, I think I fell asleep. And when I woke up, she was yelling. And she was hollering. And I'm looking for Lion. I finally get in touch with them or something. And and he tells me, oh, I got us a place. I found a place for us. So I think we stayed there another couple days. And then the couple days we were there, I pulled out my own drains. I never went back to have my stitches checked or anything. I couldn't. Who was going to watch the kids? So I sat there in my mother-in-law's living room, and I removed the drains. I took both of them out. I had one on the left and one on the right. I put Band-Aids over the holes and prayed they didn't get infected. Packed up my family. I think we left there and went and stayed in another hotel for a little bit. And then next thing I knew, we were moving to another city. I honestly can say that that experience was a marker for me. So when the man tells me that he never loved me, situations like this, because this isn't the only one, come to mind. And maybe you're saying, what made you think, why would you keep messing with him? Why would you stay? I'm married to the man. I'm believing he had this horrible childhood he told me all about, and that he doesn't understand this and he needed help he would be good. He just needed somebody who believed in him and would stick by him. And I felt like I was doing that. But while I was sticking by him, I was leaving myself behind. And unfortunately, my children were watching me spin and spiral into a depression that was getting worse every single year. I was maintaining, but as life went on, I was losing myself. The me I've known me to be disappeared. So, yeah, that was, that one still bothers me to this day, to have left my kids like that. I mean, I kind of sped through it. There was way more to it, but that's the gist of what happened. It still hurts me to this day, and I still wish I could get all my kids together and take them to Disneyland. And one day I truly plan to do that. And I know they're all grown adults, but just to have them all together to make up for that. And I know I can't make up for it, but it would bring me great joy on the day that I'm able to do that, to take them all together. Because, you know, later on we did wind up taking them, but that became a whole thing. It wasn't even enjoyed. That's a whole nother story. But yeah. So I don't even know what moral to get out of that, other than if you notice that you're leaving yourself behind, It's time to have a really good talk with people who are around you, who you know love you, who know care about you. And just ask them, what do you see when you see my relationship? You may not want to hear it, but ask. Because I didn't realize what relationship I was in until years after this. Many years. So, anyway, have a great day, afternoon, or evening. Know that you are blessed. Know that you are stronger than you realize that you are. You are an overcomer. You can do all things. I look forward to sharing with you more lessons with Lion later. There's a lot of L's. And I hope you have a great day, afternoon, or evening. God bless. Mwah. And don't forget to subscribe and all that stuff. Yeah. Share, subscribe. It helps the channel, they say, I guess. If you feel like it might be something you want to share, please share it. All right. Have a good one. Love you. Bye.